You know how Jesus went into the desert and he was praying to God, saying, "What do I do, God? What do I do? I'm not sure." And God said, "Jesus, you have to crucify yourself." And Jesus was like, "No, what the I have to crucify myself? No, I don't want to do this. Come on. What the heck, God?" Well, imagine how I felt last night at 3 o'clock in the morning when I was sleeping and I woke up and God said, "Chris, for your very first episode of your Dr. Chris Stepien Show podcast, you have to do it butt naked." Welcome to the very first episode of the Dr. Chris Stepien Show, where my goal is to help people who are suffering and the doctors and therapists and healers who want to do something about it. I've been wanting to do this podcast for about 9 years or so. I remember when I met John Lee Dumas at the Good Life Project camp, where we were doing lots of kids activities, and John Lee Dumas said, "Chris, you need to start a podcast." That was 8 or 9 years ago. And here I am 9 years later, nervous as heck, sweating, naked, and I'm recording a podcast for you. After I lost a bunch of my staff at my clinic, Barefoot Rehab in Denville, New Jersey, a few months ago, I thought about quitting all of it. We had a goal to become the premier pain clinic in Denville, New Jersey, and to help people all across the eastern coast of the United States get out of chronic pain. And then when I lost those 6 staff, especially 2 of the doctors who were with me the past 4 years, I was tired. I was exhausted. I wasn't sure how I was going to keep going. And you know what? Instead of quitting everything, I decided to change our mission and our purpose to helping 50 million people get out of chronic pain. Why 50 million people? That's because 50 million people in the United States struggle with chronic pain each day. Why is that a big deal? Chronic pain, by definition, is pain that doesn't get better no matter what intervention you do. And that means that doctors and therapists have no idea how to fix it. So this podcast is my journey to tell you about how I'm gathering the doctors and therapists, how I'm gathering interventions and strategies in order to help people suffer less. How do people get out of chronic pain? And how I can equip more doctors and therapists to help other people get out of chronic pain as I go along day to day, documenting all the things that I'm finding and learning and growing into, and how I'm finding the other doctors and therapists and healers who are going to help me help others address this chronic pain pandemic. You see, this is a multifaceted problem. It is a chronic pain pandemic. And then when you have health insurance companies that are taking away incentives to doctors and therapists, you have big pharma that is pushing their solutions in order to medicate people who are suffering in pain and not actually helping them heal. And then you have a government that isn't really seeking to help people live healthier by teaching them how to eat healthier, how to move better, how to sleep more deeply, how to connect with their nature, with the dirt underneath their feet and the sun. Then it makes sense that we have a problem where they're talking about the next generation of children who are actually going to live shorter lives than the current generation that I'm in. I'm 38 years old. So this is a multifaceted problem. And you see, I believe that there are certain doctors and therapists who are here to do something about it and fix it. I believe that there is a sect of doctors out there, an archetype, if you will, what I call warrior healers that are meant to do something about it. You see, I know a little bit about this story because when I was a baby, I actually tried to kill myself as I was coming out of my mom's vagina. I took the umbilical cord and wrapped it around my neck, and I was all blue. I was strangled. I recently learned in a heart opening ceremony with MDMA about a year and a half ago. I was under the influence of the medicine, and the facilitator of the ceremony was doing a childhood regression. And I went back into the womb right at childbirth. And I was looking into a mirror, looking at myself. And through the mirror, I could see this giant eyeball looking through the mirror at me at my childbirth. And that giant eyeball was the eyeball of a baby elephant named Ellie. Because you see, about 5 years ago, I was doing some childhood regressions. My therapist had told me to go back into my childhood through meditation and try to talk to little Chris and to see if you can help him heal. And I went as my current 34-year-old self at the time, back in time to do this meditation to see how little Chris was doing. And little 7-year-old Chris wouldn't even glance over at 34-year-old Chris. 34-year-old Chris had no chance to access, communicate, talk to, or love up on 7-year-old Chris. So what I did was, in meditation, I sent this little baby elephant, because I've always had this fondness for elephants. Her name was Ellie, short for elephant. And she went in, and little Chris was curious. Little Chris would look over his shoulder. Little Chris would eventually stand up and go and pet baby Ellie. And then Ellie ultimately brought Chris to frolic in the ocean. And afterwards, Chris felt like he had a newfound relationship with little Chris, who was just looking for some love, attention, and joy from baby Ellie. So you see, baby Ellie actually visited me in that heart opening ceremony with MDMA and said, Chris, your path is going to be rough. It's going to be hard, but you can do this, and I'm with you. And elephants have always come to me in my deep meditation, sometimes in my psychedelic trips, sometimes in my dreams. And you see, I knew that I was on this pathway to be a healer all of my life. I struggled as a little kid with enormous amounts of shame. When I was 1 year old, I had an undescended testicle. I had shame around my body. My brother and I had a tumultuous relationship growing up. Now we're much better. But I remember one time when I was 8 or 9 years old, my brother said, he was making fun of me, trying to get on my skin, and he said something about my undescended testicle that I haven't even thought about since I was 1 year old, but it bothered me. So I smashed a remote control against his face. Overcoming my sense of shame, overcoming my lack of self-worth, becoming somebody who was whole, complete, and loved inside of my body. This has been my path through my adolescence. I wanted to kill myself when I was in high school. I did not feel like I was at home. I started working out in the gym and playing football, and thank God I found these interventions in order to move my body to work through some of the trauma that I inflicted on myself, where I did not feel worthy, I did not feel loved. Now to the point where I will often post my naked body on Instagram, and every 6 months or so, I'll have a few hundred people who unfollow us, but then I'll have 10 of our patients come in and say, oh, so I see you're on Instagram, but then they'll read the caption and a copy of why I posted my naked body on social media, because doing this is extremely uncomfortable for me. It's gotten more comfortable over time. But doing this is symbolic for the path that I've had to walk, because of this body, I know that I'm decent looking. I accept that I'm decent looking. Please, all of my favorite friends and all of my gay friends, you don't have to tell me that my body is nice. I've worked hard on this body and I appreciate it. But the reason that I'm posting my naked body on Instagram and social media, the reason why I'm recording this video right now is because being out there naked is symbolic for the struggle that I've overcome, for becoming full circle on my hero's journey so that I can give my medicine to the world and so that I can heal other people. This is the archetype of the warrior healer. You have some wounds or some pain or some suffering that you have to overcome. And because you overcome that pain, that suffering, that wound, you come full circle. And now you can give your medicine to the world. My hope for all of those warrior healers out there is that you find the courage in your heart. Courage is a word that the root means in French, C-E-U-R. In French means heart. Find the courage to face your fears. You have a vision for who you are and how you're supposed to help and how you're supposed to heal in the future. You have a vision. My challenge to you is to reflect on, are you actually aligning your actions with your vision of yourself? Because to become a warrior healer, it takes courage to face your dragons and your fears face on, to come full circle, and to do whatever that thing is for you, to post your naked body on social media. Not that you have to do what I'm doing right now, but to face that thing that scares the heck out of you in order to share your medicine with the world so that you can help people heal, help people who are suffering suffer less because you've shown them their authentic radiance inside of here, inside of their hearts. If chronic pain is the enemy you seek, then adhesion release methods is the most likely path that will help you heal millions of people like I am. And I need your help. Are you ready to take action? Are you ready to align your actions with your vision and your potential of who you are? Are you ready to Claim the archetype that is inside of you, the warrior healer who is meant to do gigantic things, to help me heal the world, to help us heal millions of people who are suffering in chronic pain and other diseases and other maladies because you've decided to do the hard work of becoming who you're supposed to be. Then your call to action right now, your call to arms, is to hit the subscribe button on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform and join me on my journey as we help heal people who are suffering and help heal 50 million people who are suffering in the United States each day and across the world in chronic pain. I promise to continue to be as crazy as I'm being right now and to keep mud in my face and to run around butt naked like my 5 and my 3-year-old sons like to do, because I believe that this is what is required right now in a world where we're being masked and stifled and we can't speak our heart and we're not being told how to be healthy and to connect with other human beings. This is the path, and I need your help, and I hope you'll join me, and I love you so much.